Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Allison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Today we're going to talk about talking to children about hard topics. Allison, what are some examples of hard topics?
So some hard topics would be death of a family member gets a serious illness, catastrophes.
What else?
What's another one?
Oh, if there's separation or divorce.
Oh, divorce. Even like something like moving far away into a different, like that could be kind of hard. Those.
You know, as you're saying them, I honestly can't believe how many of these I've had to deal with my own children or happened to me as a child.
Yeah.
Hard things happen.
Things happen.
Right? Hard things happen. When my kids were really little, they were early learners. When my father was diagnosed with cancer, we went through his 2.5-year illness and he died. And they were early learners through that whole thing. I moved a lot as a kid. Wow, I can't believe how many things happen that really are considered hard for kids.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that we struggle as adults with how to talk to the kids about it and how to handle that with them. One of the things I think is that we have to be honest with children at their developmental level.
Yeah.
Because children will make up stories about what they see going on around them that can be far worse than the reality.
And it's better to be, I always feel like it's better to be honest with children than to not be.
Yeah, and sometimes we need to define things for them. We should always make them, help them to know that they're safe with us.
Yeah.
But we do have to address it. Ignoring it doesn't help. You know what my uncle talks about? When he was young, people didn't bring children to funerals.
Right.
Right? And sometimes when I talking to children about tough things, my uncle will talk about when his grandparent died. He was young and therefore not allowed to go to the funeral. And he said he couldn't imagine what was going on there. And it scared him. And that's something I guess he carried with him to adulthood, that funerals are terrible and scary.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, everyone grab your child and take them to a funeral. That's a very personal decision for families, and I wouldn't tell you how to make that decision, but I do think you need to talk about the death with them.
Yeah, because like when my grandfather died, I was young.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was like 5 or 6. I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe somebody talked to me about it, but I don't remember it, okay? Because all I know is one day he wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, and that's really scary for kids, the disappearance of a person. When my dad died, and my kids, we had talked all along about how sick Papa was. And we used the word cancer because it's a particular condition, and we didn't want them to equate sick with like a head cold that they could get. So we would talk about Papa's cancer. And we were specific with our words about it. My father had lung cancer that had metastasized to the brain, and we would say things like brain cancer, lung cancer. And when my father died, we had been preparing, for his death. My kids were, I think, I have to think back now, they were like maybe 3 and 7, somewhere around there, 3.5 and 8, And I said to them, Papa died, and my son, who was closer to 7 or 8, was standing there, and I said to him, do you know what that means? And he just sort of looked at me, and I said, we're not going to see Papa again. And that's when he started to cry.
Yeah.
He really hadn't fully understood that. And I said, we're not going to see him again. We're still going to love him, and we're going to talk about him, and we'll always remember him. He's not going to be at Thanksgiving, and he's not coming to visit. And we were really specific like that.
Right. But I think you have to be, because when you say, like, Papa died, the child doesn't know what the word died means.
No, I've had the experience with kids where they've been told that somebody died, and 3 weeks later they'll come and say, "So when is she visiting?"
Right.
Right? When are we going to see
Yeah.
her?
Yeah,
And
they
you have
don't
to
know.
explain to them. And sometimes you have to explain to them multiple times because it's so hard for them to understand. We're not going to see this person again. Because I'm going to be honest with you, frankly, it's hard for me to understand as an adult that I'm not going to see this person again.
Right. Right.
So if we have a hard time grasping a topic like death, certainly children do, that doesn't mean don't talk about it. And I think this goes back to something I said in a prior episode of the podcast, which is sometimes we're really uncomfortable with topics, and that causes us to not handle it with children to the best of our ability.
Right, but it doesn't mean you should ignore it.
Right. No, you can't. When we
You
ignore
can't.
situations, children come up with their own schemas, their own ideas
Right.
about what's happening, and that's far more potentially damaging.
Right.
You know, I think one of the reasons we're so uncomfortable, some of us, is because we weren't spoken to about it when we were kids. And maybe if we talk honestly with children and we continue to do that, again, at their developmental level, you know, I used the word cancer about my dad, but I didn't go into the intricacies of his disease. That was not
Right.
part of their developmental level. So, you know, I think though when we have these conversations with children, it becomes less scary for them, and maybe when they grow up, they'll be better able to talk about it than we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't like a whole bunch of maybe you disagree, Allison. I don't know. I don't like a whole bunch of euphemisms. You know, a whole bunch of, um, you know, even when a baby's born, to do the whole stork delivered the baby. No, the stork didn't deliver
No.
the baby.
No. Because then,
You know,
because then you
you know, we
grow
can
up
say
not realizing what
the
really
baby's
happened.
in mommy's belly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I believe in being very honest and real. Like
Yes,
saying a stork which I don't think a lot of people really use that anymore. The stork delivered the
I
baby
hope not,
because
because the
you
baby's
know
right there in the belly.
the
Um,
baby's there. I mean, yeah. But
And when it comes to delivery, and again, this is another
yeah,
hard topic. How am I
yeah,
explaining to the children how this child went from
right.
my body to
Body
the world? And
to
I don't have to get into, you know, talking about
the
how that happens in great
details of
detail.
delivery. Yeah.
You know, you know, we're going to go, it depends on the developmental level of your child. You know, maybe you're going to go to the hospital. We're going to go to the hospital and the doctor's going to help
Yeah.
with the baby coming out and being part of our world. Isn't that great, right? Baby's going to help so that we can hold, the doctor's going to help so that we can hold the baby. And if they ask questions, answer it.
Right.
So if they ask, how did it come out? You know what's really funny? One kid, there was a child, most kids actually will think you vomited the baby.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
how things come out of their
Or
belly. They'll think you
or they
either
think
pooped it
or they
out,
think you pooped it out.
pooped it
Yeah.
out, or vomited it, because that's what they
Yeah.
know about things coming out of your stomach.
Yeah.
You know, if they continue to ask, we have to tell them some truth.
Yeah.
You know, serious illness is another one. Like I said, I used the word cancer. I was
Yeah.
advised to do that by experts. I didn't
Yeah.
just dive in. I asked people what to do.
Yeah.
And I was advised to do that. I don't regret it at all. I think
I think that's the right thing to do.
it's the right thing. And then if you are in a family where there's separation or divorce, I think the most important thing for the children to know is, you know, yeah, we're not going to be living in the same house, but we all still love you.
Still love you.
And we're
Yeah.
all going to, you know, be together sometimes, hopefully. And if not, we all still love you. And you're safe here
Yeah.
and you're loved.
Yeah.
Because isn't that primarily what they need to know in that situation?
I think that's what they need to know in every situation.
It's true. You're right.
In
That they're
every
loved.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Death too, you know.
yeah,
Papa isn't here anymore.
Papa died,
We're here with
but
you.
we still love him.
Yeah. We
But
love
he's not
him
going to be,
and we
yeah,
love
we're not
you.
going to see him. Yeah, and we love you, and
Mhm.
he loves you. But you know, like I think if you base a lot of the conversations on love, then they kind of are like, okay, I'm still safe.
Right. They
I'm
feel safe and
still,
secure then.
yeah,
They feel safe and secure.
yeah,
And I think that's of utmost importance during any conversation about hard things. They
yeah,
must know they are safe and secure. And that's a primary need of every human being.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, if you don't know, if there's a situation going on and you don't know what to do or say, that you seek out professionals to help you with that.
Yes.
Don't feel like you have to stumble in the dark with it. There are people who can help you.
Yeah.
Seek them out. There are licensed therapists. There are child developmentalists, child developmental specialists. There are people with lots of experience, maybe in your school.
Go to the guidance counselor.
Yeah.
Because if that person can't help, they'll know the person to contact to get you the help.
Yeah, truly, get the recommendation. And please don't leave children floundering with no or false information, because that's not going to help. It doesn't help when we turn away because we just don't know what to do. Anything else? Would we leave anything out? It's a serious topic.
It's a serious topic.
And it's I feel when we have to deal with this with children, I feel badly that we have to do that, but it also prepares them for the realities of life.
Right, because they're going to be dealing with hard situations their entire life.
Right.
That's what life does to us. It's a series of ups and downs.
Interestingly, I was telling the story, of course, through this whole episode about when my father died, when my children were very young. I myself didn't experience the death of a close family member, and by that I'm talking about parents, grandparents, or siblings, right?
Yeah.
I didn't experience the death of a grandparent till I was 19 years old. I had all my grandparents till then.
Well, yeah. See, my grandfather died when I was young, and I don't even remember it. And then I had all of them until then my grandmother died when I was in college.
We were really fortunate, right?
Yeah.
Me too. I was in college when my grandmother
Yeah.
died. And that was the first death of someone closely related to me, except my great-grandmother died when I was 4, but I was so little.
Yeah.
But this was really, to have all of my grandparents until I was 19 was such a gift.
That's a gift.
Right?
Yeah.
Such a gift. And I think, unfortunately, not everyone has that gift. And by being honest with children about hard topics when they're little, at least they know if tough things happen, we're going to be their person. We're going to be honest with them, and we're going to treat them with respect. And we're not going to try and hide from them or from the topic.
Yeah.
We're going to conclude this topic, this very serious topic. There is an article on my blog about talking to children about death that actually centered around when my cousin died, who was young. She was suddenly died in her early 30s, no warning at all, and she had young children and a husband that she left behind. And I asked him at that time if it would be okay if I wrote an article that mentioned them, and he said absolutely. So that is on my blog. If you go to helpingkidsachieve.com and you click on Read My Blog, there's a place on the upper right on the blog where you can search topics. And if you search talking to children about death, you will likely find that article. So you can take a look at that. Anything else you want to add, Allison, about where people might go or look?
Oh, you can always email me any questions or just comments at AllisonJoy79@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you.
Okay, catch you all later on how do preschool teachers do it.